Let me quickly cut across to Tatiana, who's a deputy head at Sputnik News, joining us. Tatiana, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. As we see that the city of Mariupol, the port city, which is of strategic relevance for Russia, has come under heavy attack. We haven't seen complete control of Russian troops entirely there. In fact, we've seen satellite images that showed how Ukrainian forces have managed to push back. It's now close to a month of the war. What's your stance?
Of course, they have been pushing back because, as I've told you before, the Azov battalion that bases itself in Mariupol, that is one of the Nazi battalions that were initially paramilitary, then made part of Ukraine's armed forces, essentially. They know exactly what they're fighting for. They understand very well that they would be tried for the crimes that they committed. They have been committing since 2014, when they initially kind of emerged in the madness that was the Maidan revolution. And they're fighting for survival, essentially, because they know they would be tried for the atrocities they committed. And there's a list of them. They have been documented by the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, as well as, obviously Russian authorities. So it takes time when they are using people as human shields, and literally for them, I would say that for them it's a matter of Russian trials and tribunals, essentially, or survival, basically. So of course they're fighting, and they're fighting ruthlessly because they know what they've done, and they know what they would be tried for. In the meantime, we've
Tatiana,
seen progress.
we hear that Russia has put your military, your nuclear might on, your nuclear sources on high alert. What's the need for doing that? Do you hear reports suggesting that Russia now probably feels frustrated after the month-long of war, hasn't really been able to make much headway into key cities of Ukraine so far? Is that the reason to why you're flexing your nuclear might?
I would say that it's exactly the opposite. We've had a great deal of success, and the operation is going just as it was planned. Nobody said it would take days. If it would have taken days, if nobody cared for the civilian population. In the meantime, Russia has been opening new humanitarian corridors, which Ukraine continues to not recognize. We've been trying our best to evacuate civilians from all those cities. And that, in its sense, it takes time. Unfortunately, the evacuation of civilians and the making sure that the civilian population is not harmed as much as it possibly can be unharmed. It takes time. In the meantime, look, the whole of the southeast has been taken into control. Nobody, I don't understand where you're getting the information about, Russia not getting headway with this operation. From what I see from the maps and the briefings that we get twice a day, it has been progressing exactly as planned. The only and it's not even a stumbling point, again, in order to preserve the civilian population, there has to be a lot of restraint in this operation. So Kiev and Kharkov and the city of Mariupol is almost completely controlled by Russian forces. The problem is that there are some 4,500, I think, civilians that are still being used as leverage by the remaining nationalist formations in Mariupol. And the key goal here is to preserve those 4,500, because every civilian life lost is one too many.
Absolutely, Tatiana. Thank you very much for your perspective there and your time for joining us. Now, here we're going to quickly shift focus to our